South Africa, the southernmost country on the continent of Africa, saw its wildlife populations rapidly decline in the face of expanding cattle farms and agriculture from early European settlers. In a landscape where indigenous people had relied on wildlife to sustain life, this loss broke the bond between humans and nature, which had existed for thousands of years. Hunting has become a controversial practice in modern times. My name is Dan Cabela, and I am traveling the globe to explore the true impact hunting is having on our remaining wild landscapes. This practice goes back as far as human history can remember. But does it have a place in modern conservation? Today, South Africa is a shining beacon of wildlife conservation and recovery, primarily through the privatization of wildlife and the sustainable use of nature. I want to learn more about the history of this land, the remarkable nature recovery, and the deep connection humans have had with hunting as a way of life. I have traveled to the Eastern Cape in South Africa to meet with outfitter Charles Price. This land has changed considerably since the early settlers arrived. Their focus was on food production. As a result, wildlife suffered. Charles has worked tirelessly to reverse these impacts and return the wildlife that once roamed here. But moving away from agriculture back to nature was not easy. It is incredible to find remnants of the early pioneers still on the land today, fragments of a lost time.
It's taken generations to swing the pendulum back to the wildlife. We could easily run 3,000 to 3,500 cattle if we ran cattle alone on you. What we've done now is we've let the game take part of those numbers and manage it accordingly. We go up to about 1,000 when they've all got their calves, but basically around 700.
The privatization of game allowed landowners to benefit from the value of wildlife through hunting and tourism, shifting the balance back towards nature. One of the key elements for private ownership has been fencing, which may seem counterintuitive to good conservation, but it plays a crucial role.
We're now in what we call our cattle area, which is our free-range area, and it's an interesting one because what a lot of people don't understand is that in South Africa, to have certain species on your place, you have to have what they call a certificate of adequate enclosure. In other words, you have to half fence it. It's law. That allows you permission to hunt throughout the year and to take whatever quota you want. The minute you are in free-range area, you are controlled by what the state is telling you to do at a certain time of the year of certain species. It's a good thing if it's done correctly and it's done according to giving the animal a fair size. And that's what people need to be more focused on. Large hunting areas that are sustainable in a decent habitat for the animals. Don't close them into small areas.
Private landowners are still allowed to keep non-natives such as Barbary sheep, which have a tangible value for hunting. And these populations act as a genetic reserve in the face of severely depleted numbers in their native range. The Barbary sheep are native to North Africa and were introduced into South Africa in the 60s and 70s. Today, their native populations have plummeted, but they enjoy healthy numbers in many of the countries where they were introduced and protected. A recent change in regulations in South Africa has called for the removal of non-native species from government reserves and national parks. This often involves mass culls. Rather than see all the sheep culled, Charles sought permission to start capturing Barbary from a nearby national park and move them to his farm. Capture requires skilled logistics and a touch of luck.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, so it's a single shot. We load 308 blanks in here, and then the harness just clips on there. And once the shot goes off, this will open and the net will fly out the front, trapping the animal.
team has safely captured a Barbary sheep from the neighboring national park, and they keep it calm while we travel to Charles's land to release it.
Jeez, she's gone out beautifully. Fantastic. Great condition too.
If you want to have a deeper understanding of our relationship with nature, there's only one place this journey could start: by visiting the cave paintings of our ancestors tucked away in the hills of Charles's property. South Africa has the richest treasure trove of rock art in the world, much of which is found in the Drakensberg Mountains and in the Eastern Cape. Some have been found that are over 73,000 years old and were painted using minerals, clay, and sometimes even eland blood. The eland was a sacred animal and is the most commonly painted animal in southern African rock art. For thousands of years, we understood and embraced the utilization of wildlife as the fabric of what makes us human. These paintings pay homage to a time where our bond to the natural world was unbreakable. I can't help but reflect on how far that has slipped away from most of society. Seeing the cave paintings had more of an impact than I could have imagined. The way we hunt has changed, but the heritage of hunting in this landscape remains, and I want to explore this more deeply. The only way to do that is to embrace the visions of those walls and hunt an eland for myself. On the way to the area where the eland were last spotted, we stumble across a herd of buffalo.
Well, we obviously seen in the rock paintings, the buffalo paintings, so we knew that they were here a long time ago. But obviously, as the domestic stock took its toll here, they obviously shot out the buffaloes. And so we reintroduced them back in here, which has been an amazing project for us because, you're going back to what was. It's a great herd and they're breeding well and they've adapted well again.
Joining us on the hunt is Charles's son Grant, the sixth generation to manage these lands. The eland is the largest of the antelope in this part of Africa, but with hundreds of years of generational memories of humans as hunters, they don't make it easy. They are built for this landscape.
The eland bull will like it down there in the riverine area, you can see. And it'll be first prize to actually spot the bull before he spots you because they can cover the distance a lot faster than what we can in this terrain.
Charles and his son are experienced hunters, and it's not long before we spot the perfect eland to stalk. We need to be strategic because these animals are fast, and if they catch our wind, we will not get a second chance at a shot.
Tell me which one.
One on the far right. Far right.
Dan, one on the far right. Far right. Just put on the front of the shoulder.
Great shot, my friend. Well done.
Thank you.
Well done.
Great team effort.
Well done, Dan. Good shooting.
Thanks. It's a great hunt. Amazing.
Magnificent eland.
Amazing how big these things are when you get up close to them. It's overwhelming to think that in this very location, hundreds if not thousands of years before me, another eland may have fallen, feeding and nourishing the people of this place, just as this animal will feed us and the local community now. In the spirit of the history and paying respect to this magnificent animal, I share the delicacy of eland liver with Charles and Grant.
So the eland was a very sacred animal and a very popular animal, and most of the rock art is of eland here. You know, liver's not everybody's cup of tea, but let me tell you, an eland liver is the nicest thing you'll ever eat.
Charles was right. This is the best liver I have ever tasted. And as the day comes to an end, I reflect on the power of history and tradition. It's been an honor to tread in the footsteps of the Khoisan, who hunted eland thousands of years ago, and to eat the liver just as they would have done. I understand why they considered this animal sacred, and were moved to paint it on the walls of their caves all those millennia ago. The private land here in South Africa is also home to one of the most threatened species on the planet, the southern white rhino. Decades of illegal poaching have decimated populations. I traveled with Charles to a neighboring property to meet Dr. William Folds and participate in a rhino collaring operation. The hope is that new technology will better protect the species from illegal poaching.
I'm just going to mix up the drugs while we drive. We're going to add a chemical called hyaluronic acid to speed up the absorption. And then to that we're going to bring in etorphine as the main anesthetic opioid and mix it with a zaparone as a tranquilizer. Just come into view here. I'm going to aim for the front of the shoulder there. Just going to see if we can be a little bit of a presence there against this thick stuff. I don't want to chase her. Keep moving her slowly, keep going, keep going. Hopefully she'll start slowing down in the next minute or so. There you go, stop here. Just going to get ready. I think looking at the car, we're probably going to have to knock it down as well. We've got mild symptoms on mum, so I'm happy with that. So aiming for a shoulder shot.
The cow's definitely showing signs. I mean, it's staggering a bit, so it shouldn't be long before she goes down.
While we wait for the drugs to kick in, I find out a bit more about the tracking collars that we will be fitting.
So I'm from Rhino Custodian's non-profit company, and I'm an electronic engineer, and I've dedicated my professional career to solve the rhino poaching crisis. And I've developed this, what we now call the Rhino Watch, and it's got embedded AI inside of it, which continuously monitors the behavior of a rhino. And then if there's an abnormal behavior, it will send an alarm in real time. And then that allows us to send the anti-poaching units straight to a coordinate and then get in hot pursuit onto the poachers. So my dream is to have this technology to be free and available to each and every reserve, so that I can just go up to them and say, here's the security solution for your rhino, and then get it going. That's why I've started the Rhino Custodians non-profit, is to support this dream.
It's time to fit the collar and do the blood test and health checks on these rhino. William fits a blindfold on them to keep them calm while we work.
Dan, give me a hand here.
So just once you start falling, we just step away really.
So the cow and the calf are down. We were trying to avoid possibly darting the calf, but we just had to do it because it was very excited. But everything right now seems to be going well. Breathing's good. So yeah, so it won't be long. They're measuring now for the collar to be put on.
He's You want this mobility all around the leg, and then you want to be able to get your hand in behind the unit like that.
Okay, so what I'm doing is just monitoring this anesthetic. Their breathing rate drops from about 15 breaths a minute right down to 4 or 5. You see she's hardly breathing, and that's because of the opioid suppression. Most important thing here is to pick up a pulse under the tail and then just sort of range your pressure. She's beating at about 70 beats a minute, just quicker than 1 per second. Breaths are quite shallow, and because of that, I'm just going to put a needle into her vein and just see what that blood color is like. So what we're looking for here is blood color. And you see how bright red it is there, so I'm happy with that blood color. So yeah, even though this breathing is severely suppressed, she is maintaining a nice oxygen level. So we're good there. Let's go and check the mom. Obviously the collar's in now. Only thing left to do is some vitamins. We're going to give her some injections now.
We're just giving some vitamins to help with the recovery once they wake her up. Boy, that's some tough skin, huh?
We're all done, and it's time to inject them with the reversal drug to wake them up.
Okay, so, all right. So if you can just put a finger on there. Don't inject anything yet.
Yep.
You got it?
Yep.
Okay, that looks good. Take it out. Okay, we're good.
Yeah, so we've just reversed both of the rhinos. They should be getting up here within 60 seconds or so. And let's hope they get up and walk off naturally, and that all this was done well and they're safe. And hopefully we get some great data out of the monitoring.
Rhino poaching is a crisis across southern Africa, and protecting these amazing creatures comes at a huge cost. Hunters' dollars are needed to help with this cause, and are being used for initiatives like the one we are participating in today. The reversal drug acts fast, and the mother and calf are waking up.
But the last 12 years has been a catastrophic decline. Some reserves have lost 85% of their populations. And I mean, we're talking about the largest population of white rhino in the world has lost 85% of their white rhino. So it's just a staggering decline in 1 decade, which is a blink of an eye really for a species like this.
Both rhino are completely fine, and the baby even starts suckling from the mother right in front of the vehicle. This is such a unique and special experience, and I am so grateful to be here and for all the work William and his team are doing. There has been so much to learn about this landscape, its history, and how modern management has brought back wildlife. It is a complicated story that weaves the economic benefits of livestock and the sustainable hunting of wildlife with groundbreaking conservation for rhino and the global consideration of non-native species populations. But there was one element of this story I was yet to see for myself: the tangible benefit to local communities. There is no better place to see this than at the local school, almost entirely funded by hunters' dollars. In a beautifully full circle way, while revenue from sustainable hunting helps to pay for school buildings, teachers, and books, the meat obtained from hunting goes back into feeding the school. When wildlife has a value, it has a place, and my time with Charles and his family has consolidated this view. By harnessing the sustainable use of wildlife, species have flourished, returning to a landscape they had been absent from for decades.